this broadcast is. Steve, are you in Telegram? I don't hear you, so oh, because I closed that window. Um, launch ScreenFlow. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna send you a message in Hangouts. I'm sending you a message in Discord. That's the Hangout. Okay. Did you get it, Steve? In Discord is a private message. And I sent it directly to your email as well. Boy, that's a whole lot of ugly right there. That is too big. Okay, I can't stand look at that. Okay. Did you get that? Okay, try this, you guys. See if you can see anything there. I might be broadcasting live. Wow, that's big. I'm going to zoom back. Did you get the invite, Steve? All right. Yeah, things have all gone to weirdness. All right. Rick says he can see me. Okay. Can hang on. I can't hear you anymore. I closed the Nemo Live connection, so I don't have a tab with you open. I don't know how to get back to. I don't know how to get back to where I was with you, Steve. Maybe we can turn our audio on in Discord. Can you turn your audio on in Discord? Oh, maybe I've got mine turned off. Hang on. 1 second here. Okay, talk to me, Steve.
Testing.
Okay. There. I hear you, but I don't see you in the Hangout yet. Did you get the invite?
Yeah, but it's not looking for it yet.
Maybe something's wrong on your machine there. Okay, 7 viewers. That's good. Now, this is going to be the hard part. podpay.com/live does not have the right information. You still can't get into the Hangout?
Nope.
What is it doing?
It's got problems with allowing Google Talk plugins to work.
You have to enable them or something?
I'm not even sure they're loaded anymore.
Well, you didn't mess with this machine.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, what you could have done is switch over to your MacBook. It would probably work fine, right? All right. I just heard something. So somebody did something. You know what? I might start recording the show. Would that be okay with you?
I think so.
Oh, there's Steve.
Yeah, but
the thing over his camera. He's in the live chat or in the live video.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to like this camera.
Well, take the cover off the camera you do have.
There is no cover.
Yeah, you have a cover over the camera that's showing.
And it's not there.
Oh, come on.
Seriously.
It's broadcasting half a camera.
I know. This is weird.
I can't believe that.
Oh. I thought it was going from the webcam.
Okay.
So we need to fix that.
Steve, wait, you put it back by the time I
Yeah, but that's not the right camera.
Okay, but just fix which camera. Don't keep covering it up.
Oh, shoot.
Okay. Audio would be a real plus with the live show, is what Mike Ehrman's saying. Yes, there is audio. There's audio in the Discord. He does not know that. Let's see.
I think he meant the live show.
Yeah, but that's where we are.
No, the video of the live show. Are you broadcasting the video?
Yes.
Okay.
Into live show. Listen, there is.
Okay.
Here's audio. There you go. Okay, now you're on a camera, and it's really big, really close up. I think Google Hangout zooms way up.
Wow. Let me fix that.
Okay. So somebody said Steve was echoey, but Lord knows what's going on with that. I should probably start recording. All right. At the very least, I should take roll call, don't you think? I would like the record to show that my newly nuked and paved machine is not the one having the problems tonight. Wow. Okay.
Did you paste the link into potfeed.com?
No, I did not, because I don't know where you put it, but I can give it to you to plug in.
Just give it to me in Discord.
And you won't wreck the stuff from normal now, right?
No.
Okay, I'll paste it into Discord.
Yeah. I'll fix my camera in a bit.
Okay.
It's too big.
We want to get there you go. Okay, there's the embed link.
All right.
Wow, that was pretty funny. Back into this. Trying to redo. This is the way we used to do the live show. It's just me and Steve, and I drove the live video. We've tried to get away from that, but all right. So now we have that's working. I'm going to put you guys over here. I'm hearing myself through the door, so I think I should close my door. 1 second. Okay.
That didn't work.
All right, I just realized I'm going to need to refer to this chit chat. I did not put that in. I've got to fix that afterwards. Alan, that's awesome. I'm getting little audio notifications every time anybody talks in Discord, even though I told it to stop giving me any sounds. All right, I'm going to start. Here we go.
We have not fixed your website.
You were fixing it, not me, right?
Okay. The link you gave me is not working.
I gave you an embed link.
I know.
Just the embed link.
All right.
You need to mute.
Muting.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, you aren't muted. I'm still hearing every single keystroke, everything you're doing. Steve, I can still hear you. Okay. All right, this is smooth. Here we go. Come on. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com, a technology geek podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, September 30th, 2018, and this is show number 699. You know what that means? That means next week is episode 700. Now, this is kind of like watching your odometer go over 100,000 miles or watching the first company go over $1 trillion. It's fun to watch, but it doesn't really have any deep significance. But it'll be fun to kind of like high five everybody next week. Okay, I've got to do something about the audio because I am hearing every single noise from Steve.
I'm muted.
Yeah, no, I can hear you hitting the table and stuff.
Maybe it's Discord. Let me turn that off.
Yeah, it might be that I'm listening in Discord is what it might be. Oh, man, where's my... Uh-oh. My NosillaCast audio. Okay, hey, can somebody look up how I make Discord stop making noise every time you guys write something? And I know that's just going to encourage you guys to write more stuff, but I'm hearing it doo-doo, doo-doo, doo-doo every time you guys write, and I can probably get past it, but It'd be swell if I didn't have to. Okay, I don't know where my audio files go anymore. I'm going to put this on the desktop. Oh. Yeah, okay, but if I do that, okay, then I can't hear you. I won't be able to hear you anymore. Oh, maybe I can hear you in the Hangout, though. Let's find out. I don't know what's going on here. This is sausage. You know, I did post to the internet that this was going to be a disaster today, so I'm glad to see I came through on that. All right, I can still hear me once, and maybe I can't hear Steve anymore. I don't hear the Discord, so I think that's working. Okay. Let's see. Boy, it's going to be a mess. All right, so chit chat. I need to talk about chit chat, and I'm going to be winging it because I forgot to write it up. There we go. This week's Chit Chat Across the Pond was Matthias Keller, who's a gentleman I met on Patrick Beja's Phileas Club when we were both guests on an episode recently, episode number 114, entitled The Social Media Sickness. Anyway, while we were chatting, Matthias mentioned that he's on Mastodon, which is a new-ish social network. I've been trying to figure Mastodon out, and I hadn't yet cracked the code, so I asked Matthias if he could come on Chit Chat Across the Pond and explain to us exactly how it works, why he thinks it's so useful and fun. Um, after the fact, I would say that both of us agreed that he tried really hard to explain it to me and how to get in and how to do it, but I'm not sure I completely understand it yet. Anyway, it's a fun episode because he's a really fun guy, and we enjoyed ourselves. He's a nice German gentleman. And if you'd like to go check it out, you can look it up in your podcatcher of choice at Chit Chat Across the Pond or Chit Chat Across the Pond Light. And of course, you can find it on podfeet.com. That was pretty good for winging it. That's the deal with Mastodon. High five. There you go. All right. Back here. Close that one. Okay. So I should do a chapter mark. Nope. So Steve, unmute yourself. I'm going to see if I can hear you.
Okay, unmuted.
No, I am not hearing you anywhere. So let me see if I turn on. Check where my audio is. No, I should be able to hear you. Have you turned your audio microphone on in the Hangout?
Yes.
Ask people if they can hear you in the Hangout.
Can people hear me in the Hangout? I'm not talking about Discord.
You.
Sandy hears me in both places.
I don't know if the chat is there. I'm up here. There we go. Okay, this is going to be great. This is going to be me talking.
Did you freeze the image on?
It's so lonely. I guess I can either listen to all of Discord or not hear Steve. Those are my only two choices.
All right.
Here. Steve Davidson wrote up a really fun and interesting story over in our Google Plus community at with a nice introduction.
Allison?
No. Okay. Motorcycle going by. Sandy's going to fix that, though. Here we go. Steve Davidson wrote up a terrific story over in our Google Plus community at podfeet.com/Google Plus, and I liked it so much, I asked him whether he would do a guest reading, basically, of what he wrote up for us. He did, and I got to warn you, it's a little rough on the audio, not too bad, but he was in a hotel room recording on his phone because this guy travels like 18 weeks out of 16. Anyway, I begged him to do it, so he did his best, and I think it's a great story, and it's wonderful, and you're going to love it. So, but he wanted me to give you a warning about the audio. I think it sounds fine. People always yell at us about the audio, so I'm going to try and find Steve's audio. There. So let's see. Oh wait, is that the right one? Nope, that's the wrong one. Actually, it was really fun. He sent me this recording, and he he didn't have a chance to edit it, and I said, "Don't worry about it. I'll do the editing." And it's really fun because you can hear him try to say the same thing like 14 times and then say a non-Girl Scout safe word when he couldn't get it right. And I loved it because that's what my recordings sound like sometimes. Let me check this here. If you're warning about the audio, I think it sounds fine.
A Tale of Two MacBooks. It was the worst of times, it is the best of times. In early April, my well-cared for mid-2015 MacBook Pro began to fail badly. Got frequent crashes, kernel panics linked to the GPU, the internal fans made a horrible grinding, groaning sound, my backup started reporting errors. This MacBook Pro, my only computer, had served me with honor for over 7 years, almost 8, and got a new lease on life 3 years prior when I replaced the hard disk drive with an SSD. As I reported to the NosillaCast Google Plus community, the link in show notes, I tend to keep things that work well for me around for many years. For example, my car is a 1994 Honda Accord, which still gets 28 miles per gallon. I like to buy with an eye for the future, and I would be very unhappy if I bought a new MacBook Pro just ahead of a big announcement or of new features and a new generation of MacBook Pros that would potentially be announced at Apple's Worldwide Developers Conference that was less than 2 months away. So I asked the castaways, is this a good time to buy? The feedback was great, and if I thought I could hold out for a while longer, I would have. Then George from Tulsa mentioned that he saw refurbished Mac Minis that were available for a decent price on Apple's site. I decided after 3 crashes that next day I could not hold out for 2 more months. Plus, the idea of having a small spare computer around was appealing. More on this later. So I bought the refurb.
Okay.
Appealing. More on this later. So I bought the refurbished 2014 Mini. I have never done.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So
Good.
I realized I can. Oops, what did I just do? Not need to do that. There we go. I just realized I could just deafen myself here. One problem is my audio won't turn down. So I've got my audio down to like 1/8 of the thing, and it won't.
So people are saying you're really quiet.
Really?
Yeah. Are you turning down your input or the output?
My input's set to 4 dots, and when I talk like this, I'm in the red on my recorder, so I can't go any quieter.
Okay. Sandy says you're fine.
See, Sandy says I'm fine. Okay, Rick says he's not hearing that.
And I'm echoey.
Quiet. Okay, John, turn your volume up. Allison's fine, TJ says. And
I'm
Sandy
hearing,
says so.
I'm hearing the beeps again.
Wing woman. Okay, let's see. Where am I going to go next?
Al, are you hearing the beeps?
Yes, I am. Are you?
Discord? Yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is when I want to record, I'm going to try hitting deafen on myself.
Okay.
So, oh, shoot. For some reason, you can't deafen without killing your own audio in Discord, so that isn't a good solution. Dang it. Why can't you just deafen yourself?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but I've got you on, so I have to go through all that rigmarole every single time. Pain. Let me see. Yeah, my input volume in everywhere is loud. Okay. Like 3 mouse clicks just to mute and unmute Steve. I'll just assume he's being brilliant because he probably is, right? All right. Here we go. No. Come on. Enter. There we go. Chapter marker because Steve demands it. Duke and Cave Mulgave. All right. I wrote in a Facebook post about something, I forget what it was, about Mojave, and I spelled it Mohhavee. And Dave Hamilton wrote, well, finally we agree on the pronunciation of an operating system. I get so tired of mispronouncing it. Kaylee's here. Oh, Kaylee, how did it work out in the, you had another typhoon, right? How did that go? Okay. Give me next preview. Here we go.
When Mojave hits, she'll be ready. See, Allison, I told you the story is going to have a happy ending.
Well, thank you so much, Steve. I love that story. That has just got, it's got twists and turns, and you don't know where it's going to end up. It's fantastic. So, plus, you ended up with 2 new pieces of hardware. And last I heard, George from Tulsa had even more ideas for you, so it's going to be fun. Well, one of the great things about being a tech blogger and podcaster is that just about anything I ever think is interesting, I have fully documented. If I can't remember how to do some complex technical task and I've ever accomplished it before, there's a blog post about it that I've written. Half the time I forget what I've done and that I've actually done it before, and I do a search to find out how to do something, and I find my own posts. That's awesome and embarrassing at the same time. Well, back in October of 2016, I did a nuke and pave, also known as a clean install, on my Mac, and I documented the major steps in a blog post. That nuke and save was forced because after a hardware repair of my 2013 MacBook Pro, it came back with an empty hard disk, so I had no choice. This time, I've decided to do it on purpose. My 2016 MacBook Pro, which received that clean install 2 years ago, is kind of starting to struggle, and I know it's because of all the cruft that builds up over time. I preach a nuke and pave every single year, but like everyone else, the task is daunting, so I do put it off, even though I know the payoff is huge. Let me explain what pushed me over the edge. Well, you may think I'm bonkers jumping into a new operating system within days of its release for my production machine, but I'm not as nutty as I may sound. When I bought the new MacBook Pro in 2016, I kept my 2013 MacBook Pro around for just this kind of situation. I knew I could run the new OS on the older Mac and test out my mission-critical software before jumping to Mojave on my production machine. I started by creating a numbers spreadsheet with priority 1, 2, and 3 apps listed, and I found definitive answers on Mojave compatibility from each vendor wherever I could. For the less critical apps, I trusted my own testing. But here's why I thought it was really time to do the nuke and pave. As I was doing this testing on my 5-year-old MacBook Pro, I discovered that Apple Photos was way faster on that old machine than it is on my 2016 MacBook Pro. I mean, come on, that just ain't right. I wasn't sure what the root cause was, but I looked at that darn beach ball constantly. I'd be doing the most trivial operations, like deleting an image. It could be like a minute or longer some days. So on Tuesday, which is the day after Mojave came out, Steve and I tested the live show, which strains my Mac the most, and Mojave caused me no problems at all on that older Mac. On Tuesday night, I decided to rip the Band-Aid off and do that clean install on my production Mac that I've been promising myself I would do when I had time. The good news is that in October of 2016, as I mentioned, I documented the critical and tricky bits of my clean install process. There are so many odd little things to remember, like installing Homebrew from the command line so I can install the command line apps that make my homemade ID3 editor function. Or where was it I got the Century Gothic font that I'm so fond of? Spoiler, it comes with Microsoft Office. I haven't installed Microsoft Office yet in my clean install, so I'm using Lato font until then. It's pretty cool too. Well, the other great thing I discovered in rereading my blog post from 2016, and which had completely slipped my mind, was that I had put all of the steps I took into a wonder list. Not only that, one of those entries said install apps, and within that were subtasks with each and every application I had installed back then. Now, it took me a bit of time to cross-reference my current list of mission-critical apps against those I'd recorded in 2016, but that was a darn sight easier than starting from scratch. I thought it might be fun to document the metrics I covered in 2016 as well. In 2016, I said that I started with 242 apps before the clean install and had only 80 right afterwards. This time, I started with 224 apps. It's kind of interesting that I started with only 18 fewer apps than I did before. The last time I did this, my library folder went from 136 gigabytes to 12 gigabytes after the clean install. However, in the meantime, I've been running an app called Clean Drive from within the $20 per year Parallels toolbox that I reviewed a while back, and it regularly tells me when things like cache files are stacking up. So my library folder was only 12 gigabytes before the clean install. I tell you, it almost feels like I was running a clean machine, except for those beach balls over in photos. Well, my new disk is twice as big on the 2016 MacBook Pro at 2 terabytes, and I'm using 1.11 terabytes of that, or I was before the clean install. I didn't record how much I was using in 2016. I simply said that after the new Compave, I was using 200 gigabytes less space. Kind of a shame. I would have liked to compare those numbers too. Well, I've been making a bootable backup to my machine using SuperDuper for ages. I use a 1 terabyte SSD to run the backup. You'll notice that's smaller than my internal drive, so I have to eliminate some things in the copy script. I tested my bootable backup, only to find that I had eliminated all applications from that bootable backup to make room. Not only that, somehow I managed to make a bootable backup that didn't even have system preferences. So I booted up from that drive, and I couldn't do anything. Well, I do have a time machine backup on my Drobo, but it whines all the time. It wants to start over, so that's kind of one of my last resort backups. I do have a Backblaze backup as well, but that's not a great solution for rebuilding my machine since that's all up in the cloud. I could have asked them to send me all the data back, but I've got the data better locally. I have the data on that 1 terabyte drive. It's just not really a bootable drive. But when we did the great Drobo migration of 2017, we bought new drives for the Drobo 5N2, which, by the way, has been performing flawlessly since I last talked about it. When we did that, I actually ended up with a couple of leftover 2 terabyte 7200 RPM spinning drives. I grabbed one of those and the Wavelength USB dual bay disk caddy that I bought for Steve to use to erase the drives after they came out of the Drobo. I hooked that up to my 2016 MacBook Pro. Sure, I had to use a USB-A to USB-C dongle, but I still say that's not a bad thing because I got to choose the convenient side of my Mac to plug it in. I ran a full bootable backup via SuperDuper, but I forgot how slow spinning hard drives are. Oh my gosh, killing me. I started this backup before I went to go exercise, and it ran for 2 hours while I was gone, and I still had to wait another hour before it was finished. That's why I use an SSD for my backup, even when it's too small to do the job properly. I tested the backup by booting up my older Mac with it, and it worked like a champ. After about 15-minute boot up process, I should say. 15 minutes. That's how long it takes to boot from a spinning hard drive. Did you know? Can you even remember it being that bad? How did we get anything done with these things? Well, armed with my time machine, Backblaze, full bootable backup, and my data backup on the SSD from SuperDuper, it was time to nuke. Nuking machine isn't too hard. I followed online instructions to download a bootable installer of Mojave to a thumb drive first. On booting from the thumb drive, I went into Disk Utility and I told it to erase the main drive. It was a scary moment to hit erase. I pasted a picture of the screen to our Facebook group and I said, "Oh, me?" Well, once the disk was blank, the terror part was over because, it's too late now. It's time to get to work. I used my thumb drive to install Mojave, and of course, it was a breeze and it took very little time. That was the easy part. The nuke was easy. Now let's talk about paving. The main tenet of a nuke and pave is not to use Migration Assistant to migrate your user accounts. I really mean it. That's a real nuke and pave. Now, using Migration Assistant is easy and painless, but it also means you're dragging over every bit of cruft you've collected from apps and services you may not even be using any longer. It sort of defeats the whole purpose of a nuke and pave. In fact, I listen to John and Dave on the Mac Geek Gab all the time, and they're always talking about these weird things they find on the Macs. Like recently, they were talking about the printer queue menu. There's a button you can push when the printer queue's up, and you can actually see your previous jobs. And they were saying, "Wow, look at that! I see a print job from 2014 or 2012." Well, yeah, you've got little things like that just clogging up the work. So I believe, and if you're going to do it, just do it right. So I drag over my documents and desktop. And you know what? This time I also decided to let iCloud control them. I hope that doesn't go wrong. Anyway, everything else is done by hand. Think of it as an artisanal, handcrafted configuration. Well, as I mentioned earlier, I had this Wunderlist to guide me, but after a while, I realized that wasn't the right tool for the job. The big problems came in when I started adding items as I thought of them. I'd think, "Oh, I forgot to add this. This wasn't there last time." But with such a giant list of apps to install and tasks to accomplish, I found myself adding things without being able to easily see whether I'd already put them on the list. It was kind of hard to look things up, and Wunderlist won't alphabetize, and I had things like, 75 items in a single list. Well, I was chatting with Dorothy on the elliptical about this problem, and she asked if I could export the list from Wunderlist and put it in another tool. Brilliant. Ideally, I would export from Wunderlist to a standard OPML, that's the outline processor markup language file, because that would let me pull it into an outlining program like Cloud Outliner or a mind mapping app like iThought. Fortunately, Wunderlist would only export to JSON, which I'm sure someone more knowledgeable than me could convert, but I found another way. I figured out I could email the list to myself, and that just plopped the whole thing, indented for the sublist, into an email as a flat file. I copied and pasted it from the email into Cloud Outliner. Now, unfortunately, it pasted the entire list and all of the sublists into one line of the outline. I fiddled around, tried a bunch of different keystrokes, and somewhere along the line, when I wasn't paying attention, the entire list reformatted into all separate lines. Wish I could replicate how I did that, but I honestly don't know how I got that to work. Let's stop for a quick break. Steve, could you look for the paragraph that starts with, I copied and pasted it into Cloud Outliner. Actually, the sentence starts with, unfortunately, comma. It says sublist instead of sublists, as it should. I needed a breath anyway. Turn off everyone, Allison. Oh, what is he saying? Do I turn off everyone? Actually, I've got a better idea. I know. Hang on. I could just hop in and out of the live chat, out of the audio. No, then you wouldn't be able to hear me. Dang it! No way to do this. Sausage demon. Boo. Okay, I am going to assume, Steve. I can't hear you. Give me a thumbs up if you caught that typo. No. So you can't fix the typo? Here's the sentence. Should say sublists. Let's get it in there. I wish there was an easier way to do this. Hop in and out.
All right, is my audio back? Do you got my audio, Allison?
Holler if anybody sees someone named Rico come in. I have a really funny story about Rico if Rico shows up.
You hear me, Allison?
All right.
Apparently you don't.
I honestly don't know how I got that to work.
Rico is here.
All right. I hate not being able to hear Steve.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I hear you in the Hangout on Air, Steve. Are you sending your audio to the Hangout on Air?
Yes. I think people can hear me.
I'm able to hear you in there. Use the audio codec. Is my headphones. I don't know why I can't talk for a second, Steve. Oh, wait a minute. I don't even see my own voice moving. Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, it's really low. That's where it's low. That's interesting. I don't know how to do that. I see what they're talking about. I'm barely triggering one dot, and I'm not hearing you at all, Steve, and I should be able to hear you.
How about now?
Can you give me a thumbs up if you see little green dots when you talk, down to the left?
I am talking and I'm seeing little green dots.
You see green dots, and you guys can hear him. Why can't I hear him?
By the way, Rico's here.
Actually, talk again, Steve.
Rico is here.
Yes, Allison, your voice is low. Yeah, so if I change it, well, actually, no. I think that'll mess it up everywhere else. Let me check audio hijack one more time. But why am I not hearing Steve? This don't make any sense. I used to be able to hear him through the
So I hear myself through the Hangout.
No, that'll mess up the recording. If I change it, I can't fix it. Steve is coming in to check things. We are not getting out of class on time. Yeah. Here, I'll pull this over here so you can see it. Go to gear. my headphones. Well, it's whatever your headphones are, right? I don't. It's just bandwidth. I haven't got anything else to do. Hang out too much. I mean, I could change it to some other to that. You know, I mean, I could change it to my internal mic, or wait, not internal mic, but my display. That's the input. You don't want that. Okay. The old turn it off and turn it on again.
Yeah, tickle it.
So that's, hang on air inputs, and I'll show you. That's what, when I have this set so that I can hear the chat room. Castle to turn this on and off. I have it set to USB audio codec right there. Not for me to listen to the Hangout. Yeah, I don't think so. Wait, NASA just said, wow, that's better. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. Well, but they could always hear me, but it's still only showing one dot. So John, that's louder? And Rick didn't notice a change. Okay, well, let's see if I can hear Steve. Okay. John is saying at Allison.
All right, can you hear me now?
Talk to me, Steve? No?
I'm talking.
You can hear me, but you always
Yes.
could hear me, right, Steve?
Yes.
That didn't really change anything.
Right.
I don't know. Actually, I'm going to try one more thing here. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to change it to my display. Okay, talk to me, Steve.
I'm hearing two of you now.
Nope.
Slightly echoey.
Nope. So something else is wrong.
Turn that back.
It's on my end. Oh, no. Oh my gosh. That's what it was. Talk to me, Steve.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
No. Huh. No idea. It was louder for a second, but now it's back to low. Did you fix the typo, Steve? Thumbs up. Why? Did somebody else do it? Here it is, Steve. I'm putting it in. Okay. I guess I'll live with it if you just don't want to change it. Okay. All right. Once I had it in Cloud Outliner, from there I was able to export to OPML and open it in iThoughts. Immediately I could get a better picture of what I had to do. I was able to start sorting things visually to really get a grasp on my priorities. I sorted the topics into two basic sections: apps to install and tasks to complete. For example, I'd have Feeder as an app to be installed, but under tasks I put download podcast feeds and connect to my blog. Under the tasks and apps to install, I created three categories for each one: mission critical, high priority, and low priority. I hope you appreciate that anything for the podcast production that couldn't be replicated with another tool was considered mission critical. Things like backup, that was only high priority. One level deeper, I created a bubble called installed for apps and tasks completed for the tasks. I color coded them, and as I dragged completed items into them, the bubbles changed colors to match. With all of this structure created, now I could see visually how much I had left to do and how much I had accomplished. By the way, the ones that were done got to be green. With the entire mind map expanded, it was pretty daunting, but each time I finished an item and I got to drag it into the completed pile, I could see the mountain of work shrinking because I kept that bubble collapsed. Now, I know I have more time than most people since I'm retired, but the process didn't really take that long. I started on Tuesday morning with the full backup, so making that full backup that took 3 hours. Working on it probably 3 to 4 hours a day, by Friday morning at 10:30, I was able to record an episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond. That meant all of my audio applications were installed and configured. And that meant I was able to upload the feed. I was able to do the blog post. Everything was working. Friday afternoon, Steve and I had tested the full live show setup, which is even more complicated, and it worked perfectly. Except right now, we're doing the live show, and it didn't work at all. But it wasn't on my side. It's something wrong on Steve's side. So And Steve's side is not gone to Mojave yet, so we have no idea why that didn't work. So we're using a good old-fashioned Google Hangout on air right now. Anyway, there were lots of bits and pieces left to go on Friday afternoon, including 17 low-priority applications left to install, but I can take my time on those. Now, if you've been listening for any length of time, you know that my 70,528 photos are the most challenging piece of this puzzle. In the past, I've dragged over my entire photos library from a backup, but it takes approximately 3 weeks for every single photo to be checked by iCloud Photo Library to see if everything is in sync. During this 3-week process, not only do you have to listen to me whine about it, but I also cannot use my photos during that time. No new photos from my phone will be updated, so there's a 3-week no joy period. A while back, an Apple senior support specialist came up with a new way to do it. If you've got a large library too, this tip will really make you happy. In the long run, of course, this is the one place I want to have all of the originals, but he suggested that I set my photos library to only use optimized images at first. My originals were, of course, safely in the cloud. Now, iCloud Photo Library starts by downloading the most recent photos first and will continue to import new photos as you take them with your phone. Once all of the optimized images were downloaded, which took about 2 days instead of 3 weeks, then I was able to flip the switch to download originals. The photos library remains usable during this part of the process as well. One odd thing is I'm not seeing any kind of progress bar going on, so I'm a little concerned about what's going on there, but I'm sure it's fine. I'm still optimistic that my photos library will eventually be snappy, but so far with all the work it's doing, it's a little bit slow. Gotta tell you, it better be faster after all of this work. Well, the bottom line is that a nuke and pave is a fair amount of work, requires good record keeping and a good plan, and must include many, many backups, including a bootable backup in case everything goes horribly wrong. I have to say, though, in all the times I've done this, I have never regretted the time I spent to do it right. I compare it to the shenanigans people go through trying to avoid doing a nuke and pave, and it seems like a much better path to me. In the end, we want a highly functional computer that works the way we want, but we also want it to be as fast and crust-free as possible. I believe in the nuke and pave method, but I'm sure glad this task is behind me. Okay. I'm going to take a quick break and change my audio so I can hear Steve. It's be sad not to hear Steve. It's like I'm alone again.
Can you hear me now, Allison?
I can. I wish
Are you listening to me on Discord?
That's the only way I can hear you.
Okay.
If anybody can figure out a faster way to flip my audio on in Discord, then hitting the gear, going to video and audio settings, and changing my headphone output from what I'm doing is changing it from my headphone to my microphone so that I don't hear anything when it's set to the microphone.
You need a shortcut.
I do, or a keyboard maestro thing or something.
I think you've been asked to do a save, maybe even a marker.
Maybe a chapter mark?
Yeah.
All right. I would also like to know can somebody tell me how to turn off the noises?
I don't think I'm hearing your noises now.
No, I'm hearing the noises in Discord. The notifications, and I'm just hearing sounds, message, and that's it.
Now I hear it.
You just heard that?
Yeah.
Well, that's not good. Uh-oh, Kevin sent a video. Alone again, naturally. Was that all broken up to you?
Yes, it was for me.
Naturally.
It was for me.
It was broken up to you too?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Okay. Now I've got to wing an ad because I forgot to write it. Okay, here we go.
We need a wingman.
Okay, can I ask you to just not type or anything for a second? Well, after all of this nuking and paving and doing all these different backups, I decided to treat myself to a 2 terabyte SSD. The one I bought did cost an absolute fortune, but it's just been so hard to not have a big enough backup drive. The first thing I did was I went over to the SMR podcast and I clicked on their Amazon affiliate link page. And that let me go in and buy that very expensive drive using their Amazon affiliate links. And that way they got the credit for it because I'm not allowed to use my own. But if you're going to go buy something on Amazon, it would make me really, really happy if you went over to podfeed.com/Amazon and clicked on any of the links there and went over. You don't click on any of the links. But if you're going to buy something on Amazon, if you went to podfeed.com/Amazon and bought the thing you wanted to get, or you clicked on any of the links in any of the episodes where I talk about devices, that would be really swell, because then podfeed.com would help be supported by you. By the way, I'll put a link in the show notes to the device I bought. It is the Samsung T5 2TB SSD. I have the T3, was the 1 TB I've been using, and as much as I've banned Samsung from my life, the one thing I do buy from them is their external SSDs. Go buy yourself one and do it on the Amazon affiliate link now. Wasn't too bad.
It's not bad.
All the things I gotta do. Oh, have I missed anything in the live chat, Steve?
Well, Russ joined us and left.
Okay. Okay. And why was it you couldn't fix that typo? You just didn't want to?
Oh, I don't know what the typo was. I found the sentence, but what's the typo?
It should be plural on lists instead of, I think it was the word list.
I can fix that. What?
I think that's funny.
That I can fix it?
Okay. Next up, we have a recording from Klaus Wolf. I think you'll really enjoy. Did you stop using a something to vibration isolate your keyboard, Steve?
No.
Do you have it
Although,
on right now?
yeah, the rubber bands are wearing out. Yeah, I think it's resting on the base.
It's like,
Yeah, I need new rubber bands. Here,
rubber bands.
test this. You hear that?
Yep. Very loud. I hate it on podcasts when I hear people typing. All right. Now, Klaus. We are going to be way after class. Klaus's recording's really good. I felt bad for Steve that I made him do it in a hotel room. Okay, let's listen just for the beginning of his. I think you'll really enjoy.
Hello, fellow NosillaCastaways. Do you know how much storage your Apple Watch apps are using? Well, I found out the hard way. While on the bicycle ride to Darmstadt this week, I noticed that my watch at one point had stopped showing average speed and distance. As you can imagine, I've just...
Doesn't he have a great voice? It actually sounds like it's got a little reverb on it. Okay. And I'm going to do my...
That's hotel room reverb.
No, he's not the one in the hotel room. Oh, I have to read something after that. Yeah, that was close. Almost forgot. Okay, I should... Got messed up in there. Okay. User settings, voice and video, USB audio codec, sure, NDI, escape, and then back.
and eat on your watch. And just maybe, which of these are using a silly amount of storage?
Well, after Klaus wrote this up for us, Marco Arment, the developer of Overcast, posted on Twitter that he changed this default behavior. In update 5.0.2, amongst other improvements, he added a feature called Selective Watch Auto Sync. He also changed the default from all podcasts down to 10. Klaus suggested I not post his article and not play his audio, but he highlights something that could bite any of us from other applications. After reading what had happened to him, I checked the storage on my Apple Watch, and I'd never even thought to check that before, and I discovered that Apple Podcasts was using up 1.2 gigabytes on my watch. I don't even use Apple Podcasts. I only subscribe to my own shows to make sure they were feeding properly, but that's about it. I don't know how it ended up chewing up that much space, since when I checked on my phone, there was only one episode in each feed. Anyway, I think this was a great tip, and thank you very much to Klaus for bringing it to us. Mojave is next. This is a cool bug. I get a fun bug. Oh. This was a scary bug. Uh-oh, 5:57. You gonna lose everybody?
Yes.
Gonna
Did
be
you do a
longer
save?
than I thought.
That chapter marker?
You will be happy.
Save and chapter mark.
You like my title.
Are you listening?
All in caps lock.
Allison!
He's waving his arms.
You're not hearing me.
Hang on. What
Did you do a save and chapter mark?
Sounds like
save.
3 syllables. I hope he doesn't.
This is not working.
Actually need anything. I hope he's just goofing around. Okay.
Wow.
He can walk down the hall. That's what we should do. We should just open the doors. Okay, here we go. All right. Well, it's been 5 days since Mojave came out, and I've run across the oddest bug. Yesterday, a few times, I noticed the caps lock warning icon when I went to enter a password. You know, the one that tells you, hey, you got to turn off caps lock. That's why your password isn't working. Well, when I saw it, I looked at my keyboard, and the green light was not on my my caps lock. But I tapped the caps lock a few times till the indicator disappeared, entered my password, and I went on with my day. This morning, on Sunday, every single thing I typed was in all caps. Now, I unjustly accused the MacBook Pro keyboard that everyone likes to mock. I've had stuck keys before, but usually it's intermittent, and a bit of banging on the key would usually fix it. With the caps lock key, though, I could see the little light on and off correctly, even though typing was still all in all caps. Just in case it was something stuck under the key, I used some compressed air on the key, but no joy was to be had. At the time this occurred, I was logged into a second user account. So I used fast user switching with Touch ID, which is glorious, by the way. You just kind of push on the Touch ID and the whole screen switches. It's really, really fun. Anyway, I used that to flip into my main account to test the keyboard there. Same caps lock problem happened in both accounts. Well, I wondered if this could possibly be a software problem. It seemed highly unlikely, but I had nothing to lose. After quitting all of my applications, I was just about to reboot when I realized if the reboot didn't fix the problem, I would not be able to log into my Mac because I wouldn't be able to properly capitalize the password. I thought, well, hey, I know, I'll just change my password before I log out. Well, of course, that won't work. You have to be able to type it in order to change it. Started pondering looking up that hack where you can boot into recovery mode and change the password. But then Steve had a good idea. He wondered if I could use an external keyboard. Sure enough, the external keyboard, wired one, did not have the caps lock problem. That was a relief by itself because it meant if it was a hardware problem, I wouldn't have to go to the table of sadness and lose my MacBook Pro on show production day, especially after having done a nuke and pave. Now, it did also not miss my attention. Now, well, with that working external keyboard, I took a deep breath and rebooted. And surprisingly enough, that fixed the problem. Is that a weird bug or what? Okay. I'm done. And this one, last episode,
Allison.
last thing here.
Allison.
Trying to get my attention. Okay.
Save.
I'll go in here, go to voice and video, go to this, and I'll go over here, and I'll set that. Now I can hear you. What?
You have not been saving and putting chapter marks in.
Why do you think that?
Because I communicated that and you didn't respond.
Did that mean I wasn't doing it?
I don't think so. Can you prove it to me?
Yes.
I'm echoey. I even sound echoed to myself. I can't even talk because I hear myself.
That's because you're hearing yourself in the Hangout, I bet.
Yeah.
There.
Nice.
But when you talk, they can't see it. Can you see the chapter marks at the top?
Yes, but I shouldn't talk.
Well, that's funny. So I can't hear you. Well, give me one of those times you can hear you, because I can't hear you unless I go in here. Oh, Steve is still all echoey.
The show of sadness.
Yeah, you're all messed up. Should I leave it on the audio recordings because you guys don't believe me? I'm gonna leave it there.
I believe you.
It started with a renovation. Yes, that's what's probably caused it, Frank. All right, I'm muting Steve by doing this.
No. You muted yourself, Allison. Oh, there you go.
Okay, you guys can still hear me. I didn't move myself. All right. I need to do that chapter mark. All right. There we go. Just about to do the chapter mark when Steve started waving his arms. I'm putting it in. Okay. Pro. Yeah. 5th iPad Pro, guys. 5th. Number 5. See? I've done all the time. But it's nice of you to think that I wasn't. No. All right, we're in the home stretch, guys. And you would think that doing one nuke and pave in a week was enough for me, but an unfortunate miscalculation of timing on my part forced the second one on me. I bought the 12.9-inch iPad Pro the day it came out in November of 2015. At the time, the middle version was 128 gigabytes, and it was glorious when I got it. In June of 2017, before my 2-year AppleCare was up, the iPad stopped recognizing the smart keyboard. I wrote up this lovely experience in a blog post entitled, Why I'm Getting a Fourth 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Now wait a minute, how did it get to be fourth? I won't go through all of the gory details because it's all in that blog post, but basically, the second one very quickly failed to recognize the keyboard. And yes, they were replacing the keyboards along with the iPads. Then I had a problem where the iPad Pro screen started to go bananas with screen flicker and all kinds of weirdness. Not to be daunted by that, I got another one, and that one stopped responding to touch. That was around the time they gave me a dedicated seat at the table of sadness. The good thing that came out of all of that was that it had been nearly 2 years that I'd been fighting with all these different iPad Pros, and by that time they no longer had a 128 gigabyte model to give me as a replacement. As the models had matured and prices had gone down on SSDs, or on storage, I should say, the 256 gigabyte model was actually less than what I had paid for the 128 gigabyte original. The genius did the most delightful thing back then. My little friend Chris said he could take the iPad Pro as a return. That meant they'd give me back all of the money I'd paid, including the cost of AppleCare, and sell me a new 256 gigabyte model for $50 less than they'd refunded me. I got my brand new iPad Pro and I made money. But the important part to the story is that it meant that my AppleCare was now extended out to June of 2019. And that's where we actually begin this story. Recently, I've had 2 major symptoms on the 12.9-inch iPad Pro. The first, and actually most annoying, was that really often when I switched apps or went to the home screen, there would be a 5-second delay before the screen would respond to touch. It didn't happen all the time, and of course I couldn't replicate it on the fly, but it was supremely annoying. It would seem to be one of 2 things. Either I needed to do a nuke and pave and not restore from a backup, or it was a hardware problem. The second problem was that I was starting to get light leak across the bottom of the screen. It looked like this glow coming from the bottom along certain sections. Oddly, it was most noticeable on white screens rather than dark. Now, I'm no Apple designer, but I was pretty darn sure this symptom could not be a software problem, I should say. Both symptoms had been around for a couple of months, but for some reason I can't explain, I chose the same week I planned to do a nuke and pave on my Mac as the week I scheduled a visit to the Table of Sadness to get my iPad replaced. But the story takes a fun turn for the positive here. I walked into the Apple store a couple of minutes before my scheduled appointment. They won't register that you're even there until 5 minutes before the appointment time. So there's really no point being earlier than that. As I walked in, immediately not one, but two of the lovely little clipboard people asked to help me. I chose the guy who called me Miss. I know it's vanity at my age, but I hate to be called ma'am. It makes me feel old. Anyway, he checked me in and he walked me back to the table of sadness. Before I could set my little tushy down on the little tiny stool, up walked my little friend Laura. That's too many littles. Before I could add an extra little. Before I could By the way, Grammarly thinks it's tush, not tushy. Before I could set my tushy down on the little stool, up walked my little friend Rory to help me. Seriously, I'm talking 45 seconds from when I walked in the door until I had a genius helping me. I explained the problem, opened a white web page, and said, "Light leak." And he said, "Yep." He then fiddled around in his device and chatted with someone else to see whether he'd be required to do a hardware test, even though the evidence was so very obvious. The answer came back that he was to simply give me a new 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Okay, probably not new, but probably refurbished, but like new. My only hope is by this time I'm not getting back one of mine after all these replacements. Anyway, he inspected my device to make sure it wasn't cracked or banged up, and he complimented me on what a good job I'd done at taking care of it. And then he handed me a new iPad, and he even let me peel the plastic off myself. From the time I walked into the store until I had my new Precious in my hot little hands, I would say it was about 12 minutes total. Rory and I were having such a good time that we ended up chatting even longer, and he begged me for my podcast business card. Possibly it was that I forced it on him. I'm really not sure about that detail. I do have to admit, it was the table of happiness that day. When I got home, I realized that it would be foolishness to restore this iPad from its backup because that delay I was having maybe could have been a software problem. Time anyway, I had so many apps on that device, I couldn't find anything anyway. However, this did mean that I scheduled the paving of not one but two devices in the same week. Now this iPad's not going to be nearly as much work, of course. Now, some of you may think that Apple just treats me nice because I'm loud on the podcast and social media, or maybe because I buy so much stuff. I assure you that is not what's happening. Just last week, I went into the same Apple store to get a replacement silicone case because the one I bought less than a year ago had cracked and chunks were falling off of it. They told me, "Hey, there's a 1-year warranty on the cases." But when they saw it, they said, "We can't replace that under warranty. It's got physical damage." Well, sorry, but what other kind of failure would a case have? A software problem with sticky key? I argued with the guy and he wouldn't budge on it. And so I asked for the manager and she said the same thing. I was incredulous. I have to admit, I explained to her, I spent $4,600 with Apple in the last week. Yeah, I don't recommend buying 2 iPhones and 3 watches and Apple Care on all of them all in the same week. Well, she sighed and she said, well, just this once, she would replace it under warranty. She was not my little friend. Anyway, the bottom line is that I got my iPad replaced without argument, and they did it really quickly and efficiently, making it the table of happiness instead of the table of sadness. In November of 2015, I did pay $949 for that iPad Pro, but the $99 worth of Apple Care has given me 5 iPads in 3 years, and I still have 9 months left on my Apple Care. Who knows? Maybe there's a 6th iPad left in my future.
All right. Do you hear me now?
Ma'am, please save the sausage demon cometh from you. Hey. Ma'am. Is that going to stick? He's coming into my room, isn't he? That's his way to talk to me. What? Yeah, I thought you liked that better because you could see me saving. You want him to go back to me? Oh, no. We should figure that out, though. Stephen P. wants my little face. There I am. Oh, a nice case. Allison is really glitchy. As a general rule, or just on the video or on the audio? What's TJ saying?
Yeah.
All right,
Al, do you hear me?
Oh,
am I glitchy, chat room?
Nope, not time for your flap yet. too soon. Here we go. All right. Well, that's going to wind us up for this week. Do not forget to send in your dumb questions, comments, and suggestions by emailing me at allison@podfeet.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Podfeet. And I think I'm Podfeet at mastodon.social. I don't know. I can't figure it out still. Anyway, remember, everything good starts with podfeet.com. If you want to become a patron of the Podfeet podcast, which is just fun to say, you can go to podfeet.com/Patreon. If you want to join the fun in our Facebook group, go to podfeet.com/Facebook. If you want to hang out in Google Plus, like Steve Davidson did, get all kinds of great advice, building a Franken Mini and all that, head on over to podfeet.com/Google Plus. If you want to join in our live chat room, you can find the chat at podfeet.com/chat. If you want to use the Amazon affiliate links I talked about earlier, go to podfeet.com/Amazon. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show where you get to see sausage made like nobody else can do it, we did it really good today, head on over to podfeet.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Whew. Okay, turn the audio back on. User settings, voice and video, output device, USB audio codec, escape. Now I can hear something.
Hello.
Hi.
Your sound is going really weird. I'm not sure if mine is. Your audio sounds like a buzzsaw.
Yeah, so that's interesting. What's this whoozy? Renee Ritchie said that Hangouts and Air had a problem with audio inputs with Mojave. And I am running this, and I'm running it from Mojave.
That may be it.
But it doesn't explain why anything was wrong.
So I'm not running Mojave.
Mm-hmm.
So chat room, is my voice sounding like Allison's, or is it cleaner? Mojave.
Mojave. Yeah.
So I'm echoey, but not buzzsaw-like. We got two really great audio sources.
That's great.
Okay, we will chat room. We will work this and have it solved next Sunday.
Yeah.
Wait, do we have a show next Sunday?
Yeah, we do. Hang on a second. Stay subscribed.
Okay, would you rather have a buzzsaw or an echo?
Let's see. Oh, I learned something new. I went to a seminar on how to use Hindenburg, and I learned something new, but I may have to look it up to see how to do it.
Two Steves and an Allison sounds like a 90s sitcom. Nice, Kaylee.
Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeet.com. Technology Geek podcast with an emphasis like Apple bias. Today is Sunday, September 30th, 2018.
And your audio is going in and out.
99. You know what that means? Okay. I was trying to test something and listen to it.
Okay.
That's why I keep muting you.
I'll mute.
And you don't have to. Just don't ask me questions. Okay. All right. Where did I put it? It was a Hindenburg tip. Hindenburg. I learned how to slide everything over. To add room at the beginning, click and drag select from the beginning to say 2 seconds. And then hit Command right arrow. Let's see, Command A. All tracks. All tracks. All right, that one. Click, drag to select from the beginning. Slide all tracks. Select all tracks. Hold down the Option command with the cursor drag the tracks to the right. Uh-oh. I just heard a sound. I think that was the sound of somebody leaving. That's very funny, you guys, to stick around as long as you did. It was a great sausage episode, that's for sure. Oh, even Steve's bored. All right, Steve's out of here. Well, I'm going to finish this up, and I'm in the Hangout, so anybody who wants to stay, that's going to be what I'm going to do. So I'm going to try to see how to click it all, right? beginning. So leaving. All right, guys. If anybody, this old podcast. Now, what did I say I was supposed to do? Let's see. Keep it says hold down Option Command and drag to the right. Okay. Option Command and then drag to the right. Oh, it's going to select everything. See, that is what I want to happen. That's not really what I want. I just want this to be a little bit to the left. Nope. No, it's okay. That guy. Now a little bit to the left. We've got next September 30th, 2018, and this is show number 699. You know what that? There we go. Now I can do this. And that. Delete. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan. All right. I think we're good. Cylinder on 3 axes is a sphere. Oh, you had to get your snowblower out already, John? Come on, that's nuts. All right. File, export. You guys can't see the export windows. That's interesting. I'm putting this stuff on my desktop because I don't know where anything is supposed to go now. Save. All right, guys, I think I am going to call this. Since Steve has already given up, I am going to wave goodbye to everybody and hopefully, wait, stop. There. All right, I'm going to wave goodbye to everybody. This has been fun. Sorry to keep you so late after class. It is all Steve's fault, by the way, just so you know. All right, bye, Rose. Mwah. Don't know if she's still here, but I'll wave goodbye. Goodbye. Hanging up now.